Thank you to everyone for helping me to reach my 1,000 subscriber goal. It's been a long journey. Today I'm going to show you some behind the scenes stats for my videos, such as the most popular videos, view times, click-through rates, most and least liked videos, biggest regrets, mistakes, and experiments that I did. If you like content like this, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. My next video will be about how much money I made from YouTube so far, including costs and affiliate commissions, and the video after that will be about how to earn an easy $300 per month opening bank accounts. YouTube monetization requirements require at least 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. Now, I've actually had much higher than 4,000 watch hours. At the time I hit 1,000 subscribers, I was at about 9,200 watch hours. So more than the 4,000 required. My first video was September 22nd, 2022. Now, actually, the first two videos I did, September 22nd and September 29th, I didn't even have a microphone at the time. I did a screen capture and then I basically did text to voice for both of these. The fastest window app launcher and the faster than Homebrew one. My first video was September 22nd, 2022, and then I received monetization on August 18th. So that's basically 11 months. 11 months. So that's actually much longer. That most people get monetized within, I think, around 6 months. So for me, it was around 11 months. My initial expectations were that I would, by 90,000 views, I would be monetized. It turns out that it took 121,000 views before I got monetized, so much later than I thought. And I thought that by 50 videos I would be monetized, and in fact it took 87 videos, so it took more videos and longer than expected. I'm going to run through and show some of my videos that I did, some of the early ones, some issues that I had with the videos. I'm going to show the watch time and the stats for each, and show the likes and dislikes for the videos. What previous views did I have as a YouTube outsider before I started YouTube? Okay, these are the views that I had before I started doing these YouTube videos. I thought people would watch most of the videos. I didn't even think that people wouldn't watch all the video. I didn't really think about it. So for example, this video that I just did was 24 minutes. Guess how many minutes most people watched? Okay, the average watch time for this video was 4 minutes, 30 seconds. And that's actually 13 seconds more than usual. Less than 1/4 of the videos. So basically for me, a good average view time for my videos is probably 4.5 minutes to 10 minutes. I think my longest is 10 minutes, and that's a really long video. Mostly it's going to be, for the better videos, in the 4-minute range. So some other thoughts I previously had were doing YouTube screen captures is easy because you're not really showing your face. But it's not as easy as you would think. So for example, just capturing the screen, you have to have the right software. You have to be using the right screen. Right now, if I capture this, you have to have the tabs lined up if you're going to do multiple tabs. So I have multiple tabs lined up. I do it full screen. I'll typically blow up the text so that it's easy for people to read. So I'll zoom in to where it's annoyingly large for me to look at. But then when it comes out on video and people are looking at it on their smartphone, it looks a lot larger. Also, you can't capture the full screen with something like a MacBook. I have the 13-inch MacBook. If I capture this on my MacBook, I'm going to have to crop it because it's not a standard size screen. I capture it docked on my 28-inch monitor, and then I get the perfect output, the perfect width and height. Otherwise, I would have to crop the video if I captured it directly on the laptop screen. It's not the easiest thing in the world. Here's another view that I had. Good videos will find viewers and become popular. So that was a view that I previously had, that if you put out a video that you think is good, that others are going to find it and it's going to become popular. You can see some of the earlier videos I did. I thought this 40% discount on credit card videos would do well. Look at it, it's only got 42 views. Like basically nobody watched it. And this one, if you go back and you look at these older videos, the audio is just awful. I made some mistakes with the screen capture where I tried cropping. So some of them, the width and height is messed up slightly. The audio's messed up. But I thought that more people would watch a lot of these videos. So there's a lot of videos that I did. Like I did a video, the best dividend stocks, only 140 views. That one I thought would have done better. Least complaints, bank rating, I thought that would do better. It only did 150 views and 90% likes. So I did a lot of videos like that where I thought they would do well, but it just happens that the text, either it wasn't the right thumbnail, the right topic, or the keywords. So some videos are just never going to do well. So what happened? Why did it take me so long to get monetized? Back in March, I was doing pretty well. So if we look at March of 2023, if we look at Google Trends for the search word money market, you'll see that it peaked around March 12th to the 18th. It peaked, and you can see that the traffic's gone down since. My real-time traffic on a 48-hour basis was around 2,400 a day, or 1,200 views per day at its peak. Now it's at only 973, and on most days where I'm not doing a video, this would be in the 500. So you're talking about maybe 250 views per day, so not a whole lot. Another view that I previously had was that you talk into the microphone and sound will come out perfect. So I never really thought about the sound quality, and I purchased this HyperX, which this HyperX produces pretty good sound quality. It's actually rated fairly well. However, it's very difficult to get the sound to come out perfectly, and there's all sorts of tricks. The distance, the angle of the microphone, pop filters, where your mouth is from the mic, the angle, there's all sorts of ways, and it can vary. In the morning, I may be slower talking. In the afternoon, I may be faster talking. So the volume and the speed of the voice can also change. So it's very difficult to be consistent sometimes. Here's another one that I thought of. Not much video editing would be needed since it's only screen capture. You don't have to capture much video or do much editing. So just because you're doing screen captures most of the time doesn't mean you don't have to cut stuff. So I may say, spaces like that have to be cut out. There may be long pauses. I may say the wrong words or stumble over the wrong, I may say the wrong words or stumble over the words. I may capture the wrong part of the screen. I may not be zoomed in all the way. So there's all sorts of things like that. I previously thought that any computer would work for video editing. I thought that my old computer would work, and that wasn't the case. Once I started doing 4K editing, once I started to use 4K content, my computer started getting really slow and I couldn't do the work. So I ended up purchasing a MacBook with the M1 processor, and it's been working fairly well now. I also didn't think much about thumbnails. I thought that making thumbnails would be easy, quick and easy, but it actually takes a lot more time than you think, especially to come up with a good one. So I'm using photop.com, which is basically a Photoshop type application on the web. And that's what I use for most of these. And I use Canva also for making thumbnails. Here's another view that I had. Once you upload the video to YouTube, you're done. People will be able to see your video right away. That's not quite the case. So once you upload to YouTube, for example, this 24-minute video that I did the other day, once you upload, on my computer it uploads fairly quickly. Once it's uploaded, it quickly does. Standard definition and HD are probably complete within 5 or 10 minutes. However, to do 4K to process it, it said around 90 minutes. So I think it probably took an hour, 45 minutes to an hour probably, to do the 4K rendering. Then people would be able to see it. So it's not immediately. Even if you had the fastest computer, there's still this bottleneck of YouTube processing the video before anyone can watch it. Here's another video that I had before. Old videos can bring lots of traffic. Once you put up a video, those videos can keep getting views, lots of views day after day. Well, that's not quite the case. And updating the text or thumbnails can wake up an old video. After the first 3 or 4 days, the traffic on these videos goes down quite a bit. I've tried waking up some of these old videos, like this Home Depot dividend one only had 140 views. I've tried changing the thumbnail, changing the text. Once the videos have been out for 3 or 4 weeks or a month, it's very difficult to wake up the video. It's very difficult to get traffic to come back to the video. I changed the text on a lot of these. I changed the thumbnails, and after a certain period of time has gone by, it's hard for them to wake up. Okay, let's look at the most popular videos. What were my most popular videos out of all the videos I've done? Out of all 87 videos. My most popular one was this money market one that I did in February 16th of 2023. If we look at the Google Trends chart, February 16th was right around here. So I got in right before it started, right before money markets started trending as a keyword. So then this video kind of rode the upward trend. That's how I got 16,000 views on that one. If we look at the stats on my #1 video, it had 1,500 watch hours and 177 subscribers. So this one had a lot of subscribers, and it's got 21% search traffic. Most of the traffic is browse traffic. My second most popular video was this best brokerage bank one. This one got 11,900 views. This one has consistently done fairly well, where it didn't really spike. It just consistently creates quite a bit of traffic, and I've never quite understood why this one does so well. So this one had 690 hours watch time, 54 subscribers, and it's got a lot of fairly large amount of search traffic, 40% search traffic. traffic. The average view duration on this one's not that great. It's 3 minutes, 29 seconds. Now, a lot of people searching for fidelity cash management find this one. My third most popular one was the 10 4% APY best high yield savings. This was one of the early videos also, December 22nd, 2022. This one was a 28-minute long video, 62 subscribers, 1,200 hours of watch time. Now, 66% of people find this one via search. This one had a high 6-minute watch time, 6 minute and 16-second watch time, which is pretty high, but it's a long video though. Now, here's one I did. I think this was one that I did on my old computer, mutual funds versus ETF. This is a really long video, 51 minutes. And I think I did this on my old computer and this is before I got the MacBook, and it took forever to do this one because of the computer issues. This one had 75 subscribers, 815 hours of watch time, and it's got quite a bit of search traffic on this one, 33%, 9 minutes, 21 seconds view duration. But like I said, this is a 50-minute video. I used some content clips, and you see here, a lot of videos will look like a hockey stick. This one is more smoothed out because I put some content that people are familiar with, like you've got this video with Warren Buffett. I think that helped a little bit with this one to keep people watching a little bit longer. The sweep accounts one I really liked. I thought it was a useful video. This one had 4,600 views. It's a 12-minute video. Now this one, like the older videos, is only HD. I didn't do 4K then. This one had 12 subscribers, 310 hours of watch time. Now the view time on this one was almost 4 minutes, 31% view time. This one's a little bit better too. It's not so much like a hockey stick. So that's the ones I like where it doesn't look like a hockey stick right away. I have some videos where, after like the first couple minutes, it drops off completely. I'm using supposedly royalty-free music, but I see a lot of stuff that says ineligible, so I'm going to have to work on that. Okay, this one did pretty well. This was a Charles Schwab dividend equity ETF versus the Vanguard ones. 359 hours watch time, 53 subscribers. This one had a fairly long 7-minute watch time. I had some other videos that I thought would do better but didn't do quite as well, like this one right here, best money market accounts. This is pretty much similar to the other one that I had that had 16,000 views, but I think my CGI thumbnail didn't go over so well. This one had 33 subscribers, 270 hours watch time. It had 6 minute, 23 second view time. The likes versus dislikes, that's another thing I noticed. Initially, you have 100% thumbs up, but as the video becomes more popular and more people see it, then instead of being 100%, it tends to go down. So this video here, which it seems like a lot of people like, it's got 97.4% thumbs up. So at some point, somebody, had the ability to hit thumbs down. I don't even know how to do that anymore. I think you need a special app. But I think as YouTube pushes it out to more people, some people, they just don't want to see this video. It pops up, they click on it, they don't like it, so they do a thumbs down. And also, this fidelity one, YouTube seems to play it a lot, and I guess some people are just annoyed with it. So this one's 95% thumbs up. And so even my top videos, I would hope that it would be closer to 100, but it is what it is. But I do have some that are much worse than that. So the video that I have that's the least popular by views is this 40% discount one. This was done way back in October. So all of these early ones, when I started doing these videos, they're like, 40 views, 70 views. The views didn't go up very long at all. A big reason for not having many views is the shortness of the video. This one's only 7 minutes. This one's 6 minutes. That's not enough time for YouTube to put ads in there. This one that's longer, you can see it has some more views on this one, but still not very many. I think it's because it's my early videos and the view times aren't good, and there's a lot of defects with the audio and early problems that people have when they first start doing videos. Now, if we look at the ones with the worst like ratio, now one thing I noticed, so the ones that I have that the like to dislike ratio, on the videos that I'm critical of certain companies, I've noticed that the dislike ratio is much higher. So this Save thing that was canceled, I was critical of this company because I think it's kind of a scam company. I only got 85% thumbs up. I don't know if the company is, these companies sometimes search out for content, and then if they're doing the thumbs down, or if it's somebody that has an account or somebody that I've offended in some way. But the things where I'm critical of stuff, I get a lot of thumbs down, and that's one thing I have to work on. So here's another one rejected from this AARP card. It's got 83% positive versus, some of them that are 100. Here's another one, AARP, which I was critical of. And the least complaints bank, I don't even know why. This is only 90% thumbs up. I think maybe some Chime customers weren't happy because I showed how poorly some companies did, and maybe they give me a thumbs down for that. Now this one here, I could see why. I was both of these I was critical of, sort of negative of, and I've only got 75% thumbs up. That's one thing I've noticed. If you're too critical of a company, it's not like I'm making fun of a person. It's not like I'm critical of a person. I'm being critical of a company or a product. But some people seem to take it personally, or they get offended, or it's like I'm making fun of. It's like I'm being critical of their tribe, so they do a thumbs down. Now here's one that's, I don't know what happened, 66% thumbs up. I think this is because this company went out of business or they closed, and maybe somebody expects me to just take this video down because of that. I mean, some of them, I don't even know. This Marcus one, I wasn't critical at all. It's 96% thumbs up. This one, I was a little bit, anytime where I'm critical of something and you say anything sort of negative about a company, then you get a less than 100. Now here's another one, rejected upgrade, 88%. And this one makes sense for me. This was my lowest rated, I think, 77.3%. Why I won't promote SoFi and why others shouldn't either. So I put some YouTubers' faces on here and I did some short clips. So I could see maybe that's why that one has such a low rating. What have I learned since I started doing these YouTube videos? How to know if a video will become popular or unpopular? Well, I think I sort of know what's going to become popular versus unpopular now, and it's not what I previously thought. So previously I would do a video and I would feel good about it afterwards, and I would think, oh, this video is going to do well. I learned a lot, it's going to do well, but it doesn't always work out that way. So a lot of times I would do a video. So for example, I would do a video, and then after I did the video, I would say, oh, I learned a lot, this video is going to do well, but that's not how it works. Like this, my bank close video, some other people have done similar videos and they would have, 100,000 views. So I did one of these and I thought, oh, it's going to do really well, but I got 1 subscriber, 47 hours, 792 views. So it didn't do that well. But I think I found a better way of finding out if a video is going to do well or not. So how do I know if a video is going to do well or not? It's about the thumbnail, the text in the title, the text in the description, and the average watch time. So more specifically, it's the impression click-through rate, the percentage, and the average view time. So for example, this video that I just put up, it's got a 6.8% click-through rate, which isn't too bad for me. If I take this 6.8% and I multiply it by 4, because my watch time is 4.5 minutes. So if I multiply these two together and I get it over 20, if I get a value of over 20, then that's pretty good. I know that YouTube is going to push it out a little bit. But if it gets less than 20 for those two, then I know that I probably got a thumbnail that's really bad, or text that I need to update, or if I've tried that and it fails, it's still below 20, YouTube won't push it for very long and the video is going to die off. That's basically my metric of success. So this one is, let's say 4 times 7. So 28 is pretty good. So this SoFi versus M1 did fairly well. It had 1,300 views. If I look at the stats, I got 9 subscribers, 110 hours. If I go to engagement, 5 minutes, 4 seconds average view duration, 5.7 click-through rate. So they like this thumbnail all right. So if you do 5.7, so 6 times 5 is 30. That's a pretty good number. So that's why this one did pretty well. The ones that are very short, that's another thing. If it's a very short video, less than 12 minutes, it's probably not going to do well because the view time's going to be too low. So it probably needs to be at least 12 minutes or longer. Okay, if I look at this $200 sign-up card, the old one, my click-through rate was only 2.5 times 3. So that's way less than 20. That's why this one did so bad. Here's another one, my Home Depot one. So the Home Depot, the best dividend stocks one. It's a 25-minute video, so it has the potential to do well. As long as it has the right text in the thumbnail, it should do okay. But if we look at this one, it had 1 subscriber only. The reach was, the impression click-through rate was only 3%. So I just couldn't find a thumbnail that worked for this one. So 3% is pretty low. When we look at the engagement, let's say 4, this is still less than 20. So even if this were 5 times 3, that would be 15. It's less than 15. This is 4.5 times 3, so less than 15, which is way less than 20. That's the kind of metric that I've been using, is 20. So 20 or greater. Here's another one I had, worst banks. This was a 29-minute video. I thought this one would do fairly well, but it was sort of repetitive. This one had 16 hours watch time. Their impression click-through rate was only 3.5, and I just couldn't get a thumbnail that would work with this one. So 3.5, and the view time was 4.3. So if I could have gotten the impression click-through rate up, if I could have gotten a better thumbnail, then this one would have done okay probably, but this one didn't do so well. What's another thing that I've learned? The text and the title and the description are very important. And just changing one word can make a big difference. So for example, this was my #1 video. It says money market account. Now actually this is not correct. It should be money market fund, but that's not what people search for. So I use basically the incorrect text because that's what people are searching for. But the one that I did last night, I had money market fund and I changed it to money market account. If you look at the first line of the text, it says, I compared high yield money market accounts. Well, before this was high yield money market funds. So I woke up late last night and I changed a couple words. I changed this from funds to accounts, and the title was basically best money market funds, and I changed it to best money market accounts. Just those two words, one here and one here, and you'll see when you look at the stats here. So when you look at this chart here, this is the traffic stats. You'll see right after I changed that text how it went up sharply. I changed it right maybe 11 o'clock at night, and then takes a few hours, and then you see that from around 2 a.m. on, the traffic started to go up at a much more aggressive rate. That's not the only example of this, but you have to do this within the first 3 days. That's what I've noticed. If you don't do it like the first night or the first or second night, this will have no effect. Here's another one I did, why I switched from the Mac. So if you look at this graph here, I did the video, I put it out around 6 or 7 o'clock at night. I thought it was a dud because you see this tiny little line here. It was basically not growing very much at all. I had only 55 views at 3 a.m. But I woke up at nighttime and I updated the text. I basically changed it from 30 years of Windows user switches to Mac, and I changed the title just slightly. Then you'll see that it jumped, it did this way up here. So this graph, after I changed the text, the graph went up aggressively. After a couple days of YouTube promoting it, they just stopped promoting it, and that's where you see it basically flatlines and just barely goes up. That's basically the way YouTube seems to promote my videos, is you get this little spike and then it sort of plateaus, and then you'll just get search traffic after that. So now I've got a lot of search traffic. But the important thing that I've learned is you have to update the text, description, and title right away. So if it's not growing quickly, adjust the text quickly, like the first day after 4 or 5 hours, and then hopefully you'll get a big spike like this. But if I were to wait, like the text that I just changed today, probably not going to do anything because it's way past, it's been over 2 weeks. YouTube doesn't seem to prioritize these old videos so much anymore. What mistakes have I made? I've made the mistake of I've made videos to satisfy my own curiosity versus exploring the viewership and finding if there is a market for the video first. So for example, I did this video 10 stocks versus the S&P 500. It's basically picking the top 10 stocks from the S&P 500 from like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, comparing them to the S&P 500 if you just held them and seeing how well it performed. Well, it's kind of hard to put this into a thumbnail that'll work. So this one did 258 views, and so that's one example. And then I also did the top S&P 500 funds. I compared equal weight S&P 500 funds where you've got 1% in each stock versus regular S&P 500 fund versus this new ESG S&P 500, and I compared them to see if there's any difference. Once again, this is kind of really hard to do into a thumbnail. I was very curious about it, and so I probably would do it on my own, but it takes a lot longer to put it into a video. This one only did 223 views. So had I not done a lot of videos like this, if I just would have put my curiosity aside and not done those videos, I would probably be monetized a lot sooner and I wouldn't have to do as many videos. Now, another issue I've had is another problem that I've done repeatedly is I'll do a video and then I just put it out and I don't do too much research about the title, and the title is very important. So this one here, best and worst rated banks, this is not something people really search for. And Better Business Bureau, it's not really a top search. So some of this stuff, I just can't find keywords for it or whatever. The mistake I've made is I haven't used tools. An example of this is I've used Google Trends, which shows the popularity of different keywords. And Google Trends is good for some things, but not for others. So according to this, money market funds is more popular than money market accounts. And if you look at the graph here, you can see that, there's way more traffic for money market funds. So that's what I looked at, and I said, okay, I'm going to use money market funds. So I did that. Now you do YouTube search, it's more of a toss-up. But one thing it doesn't tell you is how many people are competing for each of these words. You could have 50 YouTubers all using money market funds, and then you could have, 10 YouTubers or 5 YouTubers using money market accounts, and the money market accounts will end up with more traffic. That's kind of the lesson I learned. Rather than looking at just Google Trends, what should I have done? Well, I should have used a tool like TubeBuddy or vidIQ. I'm using TubeBuddy right now. Now, if I would have typed in money market funds, this is what I was using last night. You can see it says poor. Now, under competition, it says poor. So that means there's too many people using this keyword. Now, if I change this to accounts, so it says 20 out of 100. Now, if we change it, money market accounts, now we're in the green. Now look at competition. Instead of being poor, it's sort of mid-level. So this is going to result in more traffic. I would have gotten a lot more views if I would have done this first. I don't have any proof of this one, but I do believe that YouTube can recognize what you say in the videos. So probably should be using more keywords when I'm talking. And a lot of times I don't do that. So I should be using keywords when I'm doing the videos, and I think that would probably help. Another mistake that I've made multiple times is I've focused on view hours instead of subscribers. And that's why I've got 9,200 view hours and I only had, 1,000 subscribers, where a lot of people would have 4,000 view hours and 1,000 subscribers. So I basically just gave YouTube over 4,000 hours for free. This is an example. This video that I did yesterday, I got 40 hours on. So typically what I would do before is I focus on, view time, how many view hours I'm getting. And a lot of times I would just do the video. I wouldn't even say subscribe or thumbs up or any of that. I just focus on the video. I don't ask anyone to subscribe. And I think the end result is you saw my subscriber numbers have been pretty low compared to other channels. If I were giving recommendations to someone starting out, if they want to get monetized as quickly as possible, I wouldn't be doing what I did and just focus on view hours. I think after you're monetized, the watch time is more important, because the watch time, if you've got more watch time, YouTube can put more ads in the videos, and that means more revenue. But just getting a subscriber, you're not making revenue off of subscribers, as far as I know. Now, I've had plenty of technical errors, and I'm just going to run through a lot of these quickly. And these are mistakes that probably most people make over and over. Somebody that's recording themselves with the video camera, they forget to press record, and they start talking for 10, 15 minutes, and then they find out that they didn't hit the record button. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about. Me doing what I'm doing right now, thinking that it's recording, and then, seeing that it's not recording. That's the kind of stuff. So I've done that many times. A lot of times I've done this where I'll be talking, and then you'll see the toolbar up here, and I forget that the toolbar is exposed, and then I have to redo the video because everything's going to be shrunk and you're going to see the toolbar. It's just not as professional. I've done that. Also, now you can see the page is sort of zoomed into a normal view. I've had it like this before where I can read it perfectly, but when I'm doing the screen recording, I always increase the size so it's easier to see when you're on your smartphone. Your average smartphone is just an HD smartphone. It's 1080 regular HD. It's not 4K. So that's why I try to blow everything up. I've also exported, sometimes I've played around with the audio codecs with the screen recording software I've had, and I've done a full video and everything seems fine, and then I find out that the new audio export format is leaving cracklings and so forth, and so I've had to redo it. Here's another mistake that I've made. Initially, after I got this MacBook, I thought I'd be able to actually capture the screen of the MacBook, but unfortunately it doesn't work the way I wanted to. So the screen resolution on the MacBook is 2560 by 1600. The problem with that is it's not the same aspect ratio as 4K. So 4K is 3840 by 2160. The result is I would capture it on the MacBook, and then I try to copy or crop off the video to get it to fit the standard 4K size, and that's a lot of work, and it didn't work out right. And then some of the stuff that you see on the screen you're not going to see. So for example, maybe I thought I'd be able to just chop off the toolbar, or maybe I would chop off the right side of the screen or a little bit of the left and the right, and it just doesn't work out very well. When I do these videos, I have this MacBook docked to a 4K display, regular 4K resolution, and I'm watching this on my 4K 28-inch monitor. It rescales everything to 4K, and then I capture it. That way I don't have to deal with the weird aspect ratio that YouTube won't accept. Another mistake I think I've made is when I do these videos like I was scammed by Chime, I think this rating was actually much less. It's 96%. The worst rated companies, you see this one's only 90%. Some people, they just take it personally. If they have Bank of America or some other company, they'll take it personally, like the company is a person and they need to defend the company, or they look at it as like their favorite sports team that they need to stand up for it. And so I need to think of companies more like people. I think of them as stinks. A bank is like a dime a dozen, and they either do the job for a while and I'm happy, or they don't do the job. But some people, I think they look at it as like their best friend, and they're going to be, a Bank of America person or this or that company, Fidelity person, they're going to be with the company, and it's going to be like their tribe, If anyone says anything critical of it, they're going to attack them, and they see it as like tribal thing. Here's another example, Vero versus Chime. Both of these had horrible ratings. 75%. Somebody's probably a customer of either one, and they don't like the fact I was critical of either one, or I had a bad experience and I talked about it. So if I talk about bad things, I'll have to talk about, I have a Vero account. They've got a good bonus, $30. They've got a very fast mobile app that's responsive. I have to mention the good with the bad. And I think that's what I have to focus on. Another issue that I had was filming myself on camera made things even more difficult to deal with. So the lighting, the shadows on the face, the facial expressions, eye contact, how to look like you're not reading or memorize what to say, all of those made things much more difficult. And I still haven't solved that. So I'm focused on mostly screen captures because it's much easier. What are some of the technical challenges that I had? I would say my number one problem has been audio issues. When I originally started this, I thought it would be very simple. Just buy a microphone, buy a decent microphone, and all the problems would go away, but it's not quite so easy. So for example, the angle of the microphone, I have a HyperX microphone, considered a cardioid, if that's how you say it, cardioid pattern. So the front of the microphone is it's sort of like a heart shape. The front is where you can talk into. The backside you can't. You can't talk into the top. So there's a sweet spot right in the front. You can see right here from this black. So if I want to get the sound just right, I try to talk into this area, but that has problems too. So here's an example of the pattern. This is the backside here. If it's at the right distance and I don't have too many Peter Piper, Pick to Pepper, plosives, if I don't have too many of those, it's going to sound the best. But the problem is maybe when I'm talking, my head gets a little bit too close, or I talk a little bit too loud, and then I get, even with the screen filter I have in front, I get plosives, and then I have to adjust the volume afterwards. So what I tend to do is I turn my microphone sideways so I'm talking, something like at 330, like at 30 degrees or over here. And then also there's the angle of the microphone. So you can angle it front and back. And depending on the angle, when I record, I can tell the difference. If I angle it too much, it doesn't sound as good. So that's been a challenge. Also, my voice is a little bit nasally, sort of like Bill Gates sounding.
Hotter temperatures, changing rainfall patterns.
I use a filter, a software filter that actually improves the bass and it reduces that a little bit. If you try not to breathe out your nose when you're talking, that helps with that if you're breathing out your mouth, but it's hard to do that and concentrate at the same time. So that's been a little bit of an issue. Also, another mistake I've made is trying to keep the distance between my mouth and the microphone is not always consistent. And then sometimes I'll talk louder than other times, or I'll talk faster or slower. In the mornings, you may notice if I recorded something, I'm slower and it's less energetic. And then later in the day, it may be faster. So trying to be consistent, especially if I recorded something in the morning, then I come back in the afternoon and I do it and it's faster and it's louder, that can be a problem. Or one thing I've done is I've had plosives. Like here's an example here, Final Cut Pro. You see this line here. If I say Peter Piper, Pick to Pepper, you're gonna see a bunch of these above the line and it'll be like a bright orange. So what I would do is I would cut this on both sides of this, then I would reduce the volume. And I thought I can keep the volume high for everything else, but just get rid of the plosives. But that created a problem too. So the end result is my volume would go low, then it would go high, then it would go low. So it was all wishy-washy. The volume would go up and down throughout the video. And if you watch a lot of my videos, you'll notice a lot of those audio issues. And so that's a problem I've had. So I don't do that anymore. This is another issue that I think I'm having issues with. What I have to be mindful of is the attention span between the different age groups. So I don't know if there's any truth to this or not. There's this sort of study that's been floating around saying that the average millennial attention span is 12 seconds. The average Generation Z is 8 seconds. And then they're saying the next generation's like 1 second. It sort of seems like a joke to me. I don't know how much truth there is to it, but there may be some truth for those who grew up from cradle to, currently on the smartphone. So the issue is, do I do a cut every 2 seconds like Mr. Beast does, and where it's hard to follow sometimes, where it's just cut, jump around, where it's hard to stay focused on one topic, and then I end up losing the older audience? The issue I've had is, how do you find a balance where everybody will enjoy the video? And I think that's kind of what I'm trying to deal with. So what happened to my YouTube Shorts? Why am I not doing YouTube Shorts anymore? I played around with YouTube Shorts. I did several videos. I really didn't like doing those videos, and it was actually fairly challenging to get it down to the length. The thumbs down ratio was high on a lot of them, and when I started looking at a lot of the videos that I did, they were like infomercials. So I was doing like a Wealthfront Cash account where I was trying to get people to sign up, and I thought of them as infomercials, or I thought of them as ways to get people to go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. Everyone else that I saw that had good YouTube Shorts videos, they were like funny, comedy, mostly, dogs, cats, funny stuff. So I came to the conclusion that the format that I was using is not the correct format, that I have to rethink it and do something differently. I haven't figured out a format that works. If I'm going to stay on topic and still do finance stuff, it has to be entertaining, it has to be funny. I haven't found a way to do that with the shorts format. So, and also another thing that I noticed, I think sometimes the audience in the YouTube shorts were too young. I did one of these videos and I mentioned $500. As soon as I mentioned $500, they all dropped off. So I don't know if they didn't have $500 or if it sounded too much like an infomercial, but I think maybe the audience for some of that stuff is too young, or it needs to be more comedy based and less call to action. So I haven't found a way to do it. I gave up on it at this point, and maybe at some point in the future I'll rethink it, but there's no point in doing something if you're doing it wrong. What other mistakes have I made? Now this one is a little bit embarrassing. When I looked at my overall YouTube stats for the age and gender, I see that 95.5% of my viewers are male. Now I'm not sure how accurate that is, but I looked at that data, and then I also looked at the age ranges, so roughly 25 to 44 mostly. I looked at these stats and I thought, I wonder how I can improve my drop-off rate. So what I did was I did a little experiment. The video that I experimented with was the banks fail one. So I looked at the retention chart and I thought, everybody drops off near the beginning. What if I could do something to prevent that drop-off? And I've got 95% men watching. Maybe I should put something that they would like watching to keep them from dropping off right away. I put, I guess, what you would call eye candy for some of the intro and some of the end. And as you can see, it actually didn't work that well. So I had this corny cartoon at the beginning, and then once they saw that, that's kind of weird. Right after I started showing the content, it's like it dropped off. It says below retention. So it actually didn't turn out so well. So I used some stock footage of women running through the woods, and that's what I used as my intro to try to keep the drop off from going down. And that didn't work so well, but I didn't use all that. So the middle part of the video was, street scenes, just basic stock footage, dogs, pets, oceans, variety of things. And then at the end, I added some more. It didn't really change anything. So it's kind of embarrassing, but that's one little experiment that I did. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.